Thank you, Rachel. Rachel is definitely a prime example of how one person can change the world, and I'm really thankful to be a good friend with her. And it's amazing how once you're in Taiji, it stays with you for a lifetime, and it's just hard to let go of that, and it's always there with you, inspiring myself to do more and more and more for dolphins and whales. Our next speaker, very special, Howard Garrett, co-founder, director, and president of Orca Network, longtime advocate and researcher for the southern resident orcas, and leading the way for Lolita's retirement campaign. Please welcome Howard Garrett.
Well, thanks, Melissa. Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate this. This is incredible. It's so energizing, so encouraging. So good to see everybody come out. Hello. Oh, okay. We're moving the needle. We're really raising the issue. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger around the world, and that has everything to do with actually emptying the tanks. We are effective. This is effective. This is a part of that wave that will wash them out of those tanks. And I just want to sort of give you a sort of a sense, and I appreciate every time I see the word Lolita, every time I see the focus on Lolita. This is about all whales and dolphins in captivity, but we've been obsessed with Lolita for over 2 decades, and it is really starting to come to fruition. We're really starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel. I hope I can describe this in a way that is realistic but as hopeful as I am, because it really does feel like this kind of public dedication to doing the job, to getting the whales and dolphins out of captivity, and the focus on Lolita in particular is starting to bear some fruit here. Just to sort of give you all a kind of an update on the news, on the actual developments that are happening. It's been 5 years now since the trainer was killed in Orlando in 2010, and the upwelling of public opinion that something's got to be done, that they cannot live in captivity, and of course the giant catalyst of blackfish that has informed the world. Things are changing, and with the team of attorneys that has gone to bat for Lolita, supported by, just energized by all of this public opinion shift, we're starting to see a real possibility that we could bring her home in the near future. It's about to happen. I really believe it. I have that faith. I've always had the faith, and we've been in the doldrums for 15 years until the last 5 years, but now it really looks like a tangible, actual possibility. You know, I could go through sort of the whole, the multi-pronged legal strategy over all these years, but what it's brought us to now, since Lolita Tokite, I'm going to call her Tokite when she comes home because that's her Northwest name. When Tokite was finally included under the law as a member of her family, that was declared endangered in 2005, that gave her rights. That gave us rights to sue for violations of the Endangered Species Act. That happened a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, in May of 2015. It took a year for all of the, petitions and everything to finally build up to the point where now we almost have a court date. It's not set exactly. There are still petitions before the court that have to be gone through. We have right now a 2-week window, the first 2 weeks of June, that's coming right up, that the court says there will be a trial. That's going to be in Miami at a federal district court, and it's our suit. I am named as a plaintiff in Orca Network, and we are suing the Seaquarium for violations of the Endangered Species Act. Specifically, although the language is vague, for harming and harassing Lolita. I think we can show that. I think the evidence is there, and I think we can potentially win this case even against all that weight of the history of industry propaganda and just sort of the entrenched collusion between the industry and the government that's been going on all these years. I really think that with this kind of popular support behind the legal effort, we can win in court. I really feel this way. And if we do, we have to show the resolution. The resolution is bring her home. And we've been talking about that for over 20 years, but now it's looking like it's a real possibility. So just to sort of get you all familiar with what that means, how do we do that? A lot of people, you know, the idea, well, you move a big whale, how can you do that? And it's a cold, dark ocean, how can she live there? And there is such a drumbeat of misinformation coming out of the industry saying it cannot be done, that we're always having to point out all the ways that show that it can be done, that it is feasible, it is safe, and it's not only safe, but return to native habitat is therapeutic, it's healthy. It's how Keiko resumed a healthy life. And we can help Lolita come back to her native waters, where she was born and raised, where she was taught, where she learned from her elders, from her mother, her whole family, her whole clan, how to be a southern resident orchid. It's very specific, very tradition bound. She learned those traditions. We don't know if she was caught at 2 years or 3 or 4 years old, but within the first year, they're catching their own fish. They're using the calls. They're communicating. They're taking their role, their place in their family, and learning all the rules about how to eat and all the associations, who to hang out with. Everything is learned, and she learned all of that before she went there. And you probably know about their big brains. I mean, they're up to equivalent with the biggest brains on the planet that the sperm whales are known to have. But more recent data show that orcas, even though they're only half the size of sperm whales, have brains about the same size. So we're talking 4 times the size of human brains. That's a whole lot of association cortex up there, a whole lot of memory retention, a whole lot of her maintaining all of what she learned, or the basics of what she learned before she was captured. I will bet anything, I am betting everything, that she still retains all of that information, or the essential information, the memory. I could yell. Thank you. The memory of her family, how to catch fish, her neighborhood, all the nooks and crannies, everything out there. And she will be able, she'll thrill, she'll be excited, just as Keiko demonstrated. When he first was immersed in the water of Iceland, he took off. His activity level went up, his dive times lengthened, he explored everywhere. He had little or no interest in humans. He still could be called back, but he didn't want to. He had a lot more interest in his surroundings that were his familiar home that he had not seen for over 2 decades. And he proved that he had that memory, and that he responded by becoming stronger, healthier, and in every way thrived in Iceland, despite what the industry says about how it was a failure. It was not a failure in terms of him being able to come back to excellent health, really good, robust health back in Iceland. So she can do the same thing. And I think we can point that out in court. And then if we do win, and we do get the chance to bring her back, We've spelled it all out on the website, and it's really not a mystery. It's really been done. It's common sense how to do it, the transport, all of their logistics. You know, I could spell it out, but you know, many of you have seen it. But believe me, you know, it's not really dangerous at all. No orca has ever been harmed during the transport. Even though they've been doing this for literally 50 years. The original Shamu was caught a few miles from here. Her mother harpooned, and then she dragged over and shipped down to SeaWorld San Diego, the very first Shamu. And even at the primitive level of their knowledge then, she survived the trip. It was the captivity that killed her. So the transport is not a problem. Out to a secluded cove in a bay in the middle of the San Juan Islands, protected in every way from big storms or any kind of natural hazards. No boat traffic, no pollution, but flushing of the waters, enough tidal action, not current, but vertical, just up and down 10, 12 feet a day. So the water stays nice and clean. In fact, there's an oyster farm about 2 miles from the sea pen site, so they've got to have nice, pure, clean water. So it's guaranteed to fulfill all the specifications, all the requirements you could hope for in a sea pen. And what we want to do is give her that chance to reacquaint herself with those waters, to gradually open the space and increase the space so that she's got more and more room to move, depending on her choices, her body language, her showing that she does want to go further, that she's nudging the net, that she's interested in what's on the other side. Open the net, make it bigger and bigger and bigger, and of course check all of her health parameters, her blood work, her cardiovascular, make sure she's in good shape, and then gradually open it up and go with her at first and take her out and let her roam around her old neighborhood where she was born and raised. I don't see a problem there. I don't see any threat, any risk, any hazard, any chance that she would get into any trouble. We've gone over and over and over this for 20 years. We've done a lot of reality checking and don't see any real risk involved. You know, lightning can strike anywhere, but there's no foreseeable problem in any of this plan. So I think we can present that to the court. And all of you are part of this, and we want everybody, in fact everyone around the world, to continue to be a part of this. And there will be no public display, no stadium, no visitor center. There will be 24/7 security from land and sea. Nobody gets close but the designated staff, the veterinarians, the caretakers, the owners of the property. But what we will have will be webcams from all directions, from under the water. We'll have hydrophones at many locations. I want full disclosure, full and complete, total 24/7 online disclosure of how she's doing, so everybody can see and be a part of it, continue to be a part of it. You're a part of it right now, just by doing this and speaking up for her. But as it unfolds, I want everyone to still be a part of the story and to watch, to talk about it, to share the stories. Can you imagine the wave of every kind of media and just conversations everywhere about her when she goes back to her native waters? It's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be epic, awesome. I don't know, you know, there's not words to describe the kind of stories that are going to come out that are going to be based on her, that are going to be real, that are going to be actual. Lolita comes home and resumes her life. And it'll be up to her. She'll have complete autonomy, her and her family, whether and in what pace and how soon she's able to actually rejoin them, reintegrate with her family, and traipse off into the sunset. But she's still, to this day, and this is a critical point, virtually every day, She calls out in her native, in her learned calls, in Southern Resident L-Pod calls that she learned before capture. I wonder, for instance, if she knows she's in Miami. You know, she was in a holding pen here in Seattle when she was chosen before being shipped. She may think she's still right next to the water. She's next to water, but it's Biscayne Bay in Miami. She may think that she is within calling distance of her family. She may be actually calling to her family every day, still to this day. So when she's actually home and they come around the bend and it may be 20 miles away and they're just chattering like they usually do, and she hears that and she calls back and they hear her, that's going to be one momentous, totally unprecedented event in the lives of any whales anywhere in the world. And we'll see what happens. We don't know exactly what will happen. It could be very gradual, it could be tentative, it could take days, it could take weeks. We don't know because it will be entirely up to them. We can't train her to be a Southern Resident Orca. She knows how. We'll just have to give her that opportunity and let her decide and her family decide. So we got a lot to look forward to. And I just want you to know you are moving that wave that is going to wash her home. So thank you for being here and doing all this.